Hi, Larry, WD0AKX. This video might be of interest to some of you, but not all of you. If you're like me and got started in CB radio in the mid-70s and then went into ham radio after that, during the CB boom in the 70s, that was a big thing. And if some of you experienced that, you might remember some of these CB magazines. I thought we'd take a little flip through one of the magazines here, and if there's enough interest I might do some more of these later. I've got quite a stack here, but this is all I have of the CB magazines of the mid-70s, but there's some interesting things in here, so I thought I'd take a look at that. But like I say, I know not all of you are interested in that, but I get a lot of messages from some of you that started out just like I did with CB in the 70s. So let's take a look here. Okay, let's take a look at the October 1975 CB magazine. The November issue is a lot the same, so for now we'll just take a look at the October. They talk about this SB OptiScan scanner. I remember those. You'd insert the card, and that's the way the radio would program up. It was very high tech at the time. And the Lafayette handset style telephone CB. That was kind of the thing at the time, to make them like mobiles, like a telephone. And Cushcraft antennas, Turner microphones, letters to the editor, the Telex handset and boom mic, Siltronics. Look at this, the Radio Shack. See, there's another telephone style mobile radio, and I have one of these. And here's a look at the realistic CB Phone 23. Like you've seen, the handset style telephone type CB. Zodiac. Never had one of those. I vaguely remember, I never knew anyone that had those. Here's the CB radio lock. And here's a bunch of common items from the time. Bearcat Scanners. I have a couple of these also. Take a look at. And then the Johnson mobile radios. Here's a couple of the Bearcat Scanners. Bearcat 101 and the Electra Bearcat 4 model. And both these work. Roan towers, they're still around. High gain mobile antennas. And the Pierce Simpson radios. They were fairly popular. They were known as a fairly decent radio. I did know a couple people with them. I never had one myself that I can remember. And here's what everybody wanted at the time if you could afford it. The Browning radios. That was the top-notch tube-type radios that you could get for CB at that time. Here's a Golden Eagle microphone. Hey, look at that. I have a Silver Eagle. Take a look at that. The magazine showed the Golden Eagle. This is the Silver Eagle that I have. Bicentennial model, a static D104 mic. In 1976, they made a bicentennial model with the eagle on the back, and it was all chrome, the base and everything. And same way with the Golden Eagle, it was all gold. Now, I've used my mic with my Drake transceiver when I first got started on ham radio in 1977. I bought the mic in late 76, and it's always been paired up with this radio. Gemtronics radios, never had one, and didn't know anyone else who had one, I guess. This was back in the 23 channel days here yet. In 1975, 40 channels didn't come along until 77. Regency radios. And you remember these antennas, low profile antennas, were advertised a lot. I never knew anyone that had one. They were almost like a horizontal loop or something, and it says they're vertically polarized. I just kind of wonder if any of you have ever tried one of those back in the day. Looked interesting, but I don't know how they worked. And the Wilson quad antennas. I had a quad, but it only lasted a year or two, and the ice storm brought it down. Echo radio. Never had one. Frequency counters, B&K. They were very expensive back then. Here's a Cobra 85. Now, I don't remember ever seeing one of these. And to this day, actually, it must have been a lower cost base station because it's low on features. Just a volume, squelch, and channel control. And the Radio Shack twin antennas, trucker antennas. That was kind of a big thing in the day to co-phase your antennas. A lot of people didn't realize they had to be so far apart to work properly, spaced apart from each other. I knew a friend that had a radio like this. It would monitor CB band, AM, FM, and covered CB band. I don't know what else now. More frequency counters, Bomar crystals, and the Chris radios. They were fairly common at the time. Didn't know anybody that had one near me though. And the Siltronics sideband radio. They were selling those in a shop nearby. And CB photos, I don't know, Brownie radios. All kinds of neat stuff in here. The antenna specialists, they've been around for years and still are. Good antennas. And we have the PAL radios. Remember those? The base stations were kind of like a mobile radio mounted in the housing, converted into a base station. But a lot of times back then, your mobile radios worked just as good or better than some of the base radios out there for some reason. And the E.F. Johnson radios, Messenger 123. I have some Johnson equipment, Johnson CBs around here. I used to work at E.F. Johnson in Waseca in the 1980s. However, that was after the big CB boom. Alright, I better keep moving along here. And the Pace radios. This was a really neat looking Pace mobile radio. I remember some guys in the town I lived. This was really a new thing at that time. They each bought one of these for their pickup trucks, and wow, when I looked in there and saw that, I thought that was just amazing. This really looked pretty in the dark. The lights all, for the modes, all were different colors, and nice chrome front. It just looked really nice. Here's the Cracos. These were real common because they sold for very low cost. Everybody was selling these, your local gas stations and whatever. I think it lists for $139 here, but I remember a friend of mine picking one up at a local shop for, I don't know, about $79 or something. At that time, that was a pretty good deal. Most of your CBs were over $100 at that time. Pierce Simpson radios. And how I got into CB. I'm going to have to go back and read some of these stories later. Like I say, I just got these out a while back, so kind of new to me again looking them over. But a lot of good information in these, even though they're somewhat outdated. Yeah, UTAC, I don't know. Never remember hearing that. And Shakespeare, they've been around for years making antennas and different products. They were pretty big back in the day. Tram radios. Never had one, but I remember those and the Shakespeare antennas. And the T-Berries. At the time, I always thought, just because the name sounded cheap to me, I thought they were kind of a toy radio or something, but come to find out over the years, a lot of these were pretty good radios, and I think they used the Cobra or Uniden boards in some of them at least. I have a T-Berry base station now. Take a look at. Here's my T-Berry Stalker 202 AM and sideband radio. This is when after the 40 channel radios came out. So this was after the magazine. Gold line watt meters and accessories. And I guess if you want to read any of this stuff, if it's clear enough, you'll have to pause it. Coffee mugs and CB radio repair courses. It was common electronic mail order classes. And E.F. Johnson. And this is interesting. I read part of this article. I got to read the whole thing yet, but they talk about They were working with cellular telephone back in 1975 here in Chicago. They were setting up a system to kind of test things out with Bell, I guess, Ma Bell. They were working with some trial stuff there with cellular telephones mentioned back in 1975. And the Cricket speakers, I have one of those. Good speaker. It sounded very good. I still have it somewhere here. Cricket speaker. Mobile speaker. Build your own antenna current meter. Little article there. And here we have some paging type stuff for CB by Iwata. Iwata. I don't know. I don't remember that name. But there was ways to do paging on CB. And I have something like that for a Johnson radio here. I don't know if I could find it now. And the scanners, SBE pocket scanner. I have some scanners similar to that, I guess. And Avanta antennas. I had a mobile antenna by them. It was pretty good. I just want to go back here and where there's some prices listed. Let's see, where was that? Because I think you get a lot better bang for your dollar these days. CBs, look at the prices here. I should have mentioned that earlier. $419 and $559 for a base station and a mobile sideband radio. Well, Pierce Simpson. They were high quality radio, but man, think what you can get these days for that cost. And this was in 1975 dollars. Imagine what that would have been, you know, if you relate it to today's dollars. Back at that time, you had to have a good job to afford one of these radios. So that was one of them, and I know I have a lot of dedicated viewers, and I want to thank you for watching my videos, and I hear from some of you quite often, and I always appreciate that very much. So, but like I say, if there's not enough interest in this, I'll probably I won't do any more videos on the magazines here. But if there seems to be some interest, I might take a look at a few more. There's some interesting articles in some of these. Here's one CB guide with Flip Wilson, and they used to have a Miss CB guide in some of these, and just a lot of interesting things. So we'll see what happens. Here's even a Ham Radio Horizons, March of 1977. This wasn't CB, but this was a new magazine at that time. I still remember getting this in the mail. It didn't last all that long, but it was a magazine for ham radio when I was first starting out there. So thanks for watching. 7-3 from WD0AKX.